The restaurant was so quiet that you could almost feel the air getting heavy. It was like everyone in the room suddenly stopped breathing at the same time. This happened the very moment that the people sitting around us saw what I was doing. My friends were all leaning in, watching me very closely. I knew exactly what was going through their heads. They thought I was going to start laughing and pointing. They expected me to make up some silly reason to leave the table, or maybe even run out the back door as fast as I could. They thought this because they saw the woman who was sitting there waiting for me. But I did something that they did not see coming at all. I felt a very warm and kind feeling start to grow inside my heart. As I looked at her, I could see that a few people at the tables nearby were starting to get watery eyes. I moved very slowly and gently. I pulled out the chair across from her so I could sit down. I looked her right in the big, brown eyes, and I gave her a smile that felt like it came from deep inside my soul. I treated her with the kind of real respect and love that every single person on this big earth should feel every day. None of those people who were staring at us had any idea why I was acting this way. They did not know that my kindness came from a very sad and painful time in my own life. It was a story about my past that I had never told to a single soul until that very night. That one blind date was something I never expected to go well. It started out in such a strange and weird way, but became the start of a brand new chapter in my life. It was a story that ended up changing so much more than just two people who were feeling a bit lonely and lost in the world. Before we go any deeper into what happened next, I want to stop for a second and ask you a simple question from my heart. If you truly believe that being a kind person is much more powerful than how someone looks on the outside, and if you think every person deserves a second chance to find a little bit of true happiness, please take a moment to show your support. You can share a kind thought in your own heart right now. You can send this story to a friend who might be feeling sad and needs a little bit of hope in their life today. You can also join our group of caring people who love to hear stories about the things that really matter in this world. We want to build a place where everyone feels seen and where everyone feels love for exactly who they are. We want to be a place where people look past the skin and the clothes to see the beautiful light that shines inside of everyone. My name is Nathan. Back then, I lived in the busy city of Columbus, Ohio. My life mostly felt like one long, boring, and never-ending routine. It was like I was walking on a treadmill that never stopped. I would wake up, put on my suit, and go to work as an architect. Being an architect means I am the person who draws the plans for big buildings and houses to make sure they are safe and strong. I would spend all day drawing lines and looking at numbers. Then I would come home to a very quiet house and spend my evenings all by myself. I always wore a polite smile on my face when I was out, but that smile was like a mask. It hid how lonely I really felt deep down inside. For many years, I only cared about my job and my career. I worked very hard and forgot to make time for friends or love. My friends at the office were always teasing me about being so focused on work. They told me I really needed to get out more and start meeting new people. What I did not know was that they had gone behind my back to set up a blind date for me. They actually thought it would be a funny joke to watch. They thought it would be entertaining to see what I would do. They just assumed that as soon as I saw the woman they had picked out, I would turn around and walk away without saying a word. They never could have guessed how wrong they were going to be about me and my heart. When I first walked into that restaurant on that warm evening, I saw a beautiful smile before I even noticed anything else about her. Sitting right there by the big glass window was a woman named Grace. She was a plus-size woman, and she was wearing a very pretty, soft blue dress. It was the color of the sky on a clear day, and it matched the gentle look in her eyes perfectly. She had these very soft brown eyes that looked like they had seen a lot of sadness and hard times over the years. But even with that sadness, they also had a very special kind of kindness in them. When she saw me walking toward the table, she stood up very quickly. She looked very nervous, like a little bird ready to fly away. I could tell just by looking at her that she was waiting for me to be mean to her. She was waiting for me to say something hurtful or to reject her, just like other people probably had done so many times before in her life. Her hands were shaking just a little bit as she said hello to me. It broke my heart into pieces to see her like that. It looked like she had been through this kind of hurt way too many times, and she was just waiting for it to happen again. But as we sat down and started eating our dinner, something very special and magical started to happen between us. We did not have any of those quiet or awkward moments where you do not know what to say and you just look at your plate. Instead, we were laughing and talking like we had been best friends for 20 years. We did not judge each other at all. We were just two people who were curious to learn about who the other person was on the inside. Grace told me all about her wonderful job. She was a librarian for children. This meant she spent every single day of her life helping young kids find the courage to dream big. She believed that books could change the world. She told me how she helped kids who were having a hard time at home find a safe place in the library. She talked about how she set up free reading groups for families who did not have much money to buy their own books. She even spent her weekends driving around Ohio to find books for schools that were too poor to afford them. Every single thing she said showed me that she had a heart that was full of nothing but love. That kind of beauty is a special thing. It is something you can never see just by looking at someone's body or the size of clothes they wear. While I was listening to her talk about the children in the books, I started thinking about my younger sister. Her name was Sarah. Many years ago, Sarah got very, very sick. She had to take a lot of very strong medicine just to stay alive and keep her body working. That medicine saved her life, but it also made her gain a lot of weight very quickly. I had to stand by and watch as people we did not even know would whisper mean and nasty things about her when she walked by in the grocery store. I saw her friends just stop calling her on the phone, and even some of our own family members started treating her like she was different. They acted like she was less important than she was before she got sick. Sarah was the brightest and happiest person I ever knew in my whole life, but she slowly started to believe that she did not deserve to be loved by anyone. She thought that because the world judged her body before they ever took the time to get to know her beautiful heart. She ended up passing away a few years later from things that had nothing to do with how much she weighed. But I never, ever forgot how much those mean words and dirty looks hurt her spirit. As I looked across the table at Grace, I saw that exact same look in her eyes. It was a look that said she was waiting for someone to be mean to her just because of how she looked. It was a look I knew all too well for my sister, and it made me want to protect her. About halfway through our meal, one of the people I worked with accidentally let the truth slip out. I found out that this date was never meant to be a nice way to help me find a girlfriend or a partner. It was actually a very mean and cruel trick played by people I thought were my friends. A bunch of people from my office were actually waiting nearby just to see if I would get up and leave the table the moment I saw her. They wanted to see her face when I walked away. When that truth came out, it felt like a heavy, dark cloud had moved right into the middle of the restaurant. Grace looked down at her lap and got very quiet. I could see her eyes getting shiny with tears. I could tell she was getting ready for the date to end in a very embarrassing and sad way. She probably thought I was going to join in on the joke. But instead of leaving or laughing, I stood up, I walked all the way around the table, and I sat down in a chair right next to her. I did not want to be across from her. I wanted to be beside her. I looked at her and thanked her for being so kind to spend her evening talking to me. Then, I looked at everyone else in the room. I told them very clearly that the only thing anyone should be embarrassed about was the way they were judging another person. I told them that a person's heart is what matters the most, not what they look like on the outside or how much room they take up. The whole restaurant got so quiet you could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Some people could not even look at us and just stared at their plates or the floor. Others started crying because they finally realized that their joke had actually hurt a real person's feelings very deeply. They saw that Grace was a human being with feelings, not a punchline for a joke. After that night, Grace and I kept seeing each other. We went for long walks in the beautiful parks all over the state of Ohio. We spent a lot of our time helping out at places that give free food to people who are hungry. We went to bookstores and church events together. We found out that we were the happiest when we were helping other people instead of trying to look perfect for the rest of the world. Grace helped me learn how to be a more patient and soft-hearted man. Every single day, I made sure to tell her that her value as a person had absolutely nothing to do with what a scale said. We learned together that true healing starts when you choose to see someone's soul. A few months later, Grace decided she wanted to start being more active and moving her body more. She did not do it because she felt like she had to, or because she wanted to please the mean people at my office. She did not do it to fit into a smaller dress. She just wanted to feel strong and healthy in her own skin. I was right there by her side for every single mile we walked together. Some days we would have a great time walking around our neighborhood, and we would feel so proud of ourselves. Other days were very hard, and we felt like giving up and sitting on the couch. But this time was different for her. This was not about trying to change herself so that other people would like her. It was about loving herself so much that she wanted to take care of her health. She knew she was already beautiful and worthy of love, exactly the way she was at first night. She was strong, and her heart was full of light. A year after that first date, our church had a big party, and some of my old coworkers from the office were there. They were so shocked when they saw us walking together. It was not because of how Grace looked or if she had changed her size. It was because of how happy we were. You could just see the joy and the love shining off of both of us. She had so much confidence, and it had nothing to do with her weight. She walked with her head held high. The people who had laughed at her a year ago came up to us and told us they were truly sorry for what they did. They told us they had learned a lesson that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Standing there with Grace's hand in mine, I realized that real beauty did not come in a certain dress size or a certain look. Real beauty is made of things you cannot see with your eyes, like kindness, bravery, being able to forgive people who hurt you, and having a heart that stays sweet even when the world is mean. Those things change your life, and they changed my life too. It was the best lesson anyone could ever learn. If this story made you feel something special or warm in your heart today, please share it with your family. Talk about it with your friends when you see them. Join our community of people who care about love and goodness. And I have one small favor to ask before I go. Could you please share the word kindness in a note to us? It shows that you believe every person should be treated with love and respect, no matter what they look like on the outside. That blind date was supposed to be a mean joke, but it turned out to be the biggest and best gift from God I ever received. Sometimes the people that the world ignores or makes fun of are the ones who can teach us the most about love and what it means to be a good human being. In the end, it was not my reaction that made people cry. It was a moment they finally understood that being kind will always be much more powerful than being mean to others. Thank you for listening to our story.